Hello, and welcome to today's episode of In the Moment. I'm your host, Michael Clark, certified life coach, former therapist, and owner of Clark Coaching Services. I was a therapist for 8 years in my career and have been a life coach for almost 2 years now. And I just want to give back and share my knowledge and experience with you to try to help navigate this thing we call life. Thank you in advance for listening, and I'm so glad you're here. Hello, everyone. Welcome to In the Moment podcast. Michael Clark here, certified life coach. And today I have a special guest with me. Being that it is Breast Cancer Awareness Month, I have someone who has volunteered to talk to me and talk to you regarding her battle and struggles and wins regarding breast cancer. So I will keep my introduction brief so we can jump right into the content. So, Sandra, I will let you introduce yourself and we can get started.
Hey everybody, I'm Sandra Larrabee, and I live between San Jose, California and Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. And last year, I had the surprise of being diagnosed with early stage breast cancer. And I was shocked, but I really wasn't surprised because the type of early stage cancer that I have, or had, I should say, um, is prevalent on my mom's side of the family. So 30 years, which the type of cancer it is, it's called DCIS, which is ductal carcinoma in situ. And basically, that means that the cancer is within the breast, a duct in your breast. And it's very hard to find. That's why everyone should be getting their mammograms, because in most cases, this type of cancer never develops into a lump. So you wouldn't find it by doing your self exams, which we all should be doing. And so last year, I got called back in January to have a second mammogram. And fortunately, I knew the gal that did my mammogram, and she was able to get me in to talk to the radiologist that day. And then they got me in the next day to have the biopsy, which was horrifying for me. And then that was at the end of January, and then it quickly went from there.
So it sounds like things happen fairly quickly in terms of from the time you kind of were diagnosed to the test and all that stuff. How did you react to the speed of all that? Was your head spinning, or was it just were you still like calm and relaxed, or how were you feeling at the time?
Well, sort of like weirdly grounded in my body, but
Okay.
in my head was in a panic state. And I wanted to see the breast surgeon immediately. And I was trying to figure out all these things like, how can I get an appointment now? I want to see someone now. But there's like, protocol you have to follow. And so after I had uh my initial removal of the breast tissue, this I have to insert here. This was a really weird thing. I'm waiting and waiting for the results. And my OB-GYN was supposed to be the one that would be calling me. They should have shuffled the information to another physician. But instead, I received my information on the portal. I got a notification on the portal, and that's how I found out that I had a problem. And
Wow.
so
So you didn't even talk to anyone. You actually got the information on your medical portal before you even like
yeah.
really spoke to anyone.
Exactly, and
Wow.
then
Okay.
that's what really freaked me out, and fortunately, my brother is a vein surgeon, and so he is pretty savvy with this, and he was pretty much also, appalled that something like this would happen because it should have been delivered from my doctor.
Right.
So anyway, after I got over that crazy, I was still in this mode of, oh my gosh, I'm trying to figure out, okay, I need to find a plastic surgeon. I need to do this. I need to find a breast surgeon. And I just had to really like calm down for a minute because of the process that you have to follow to do this. And
Right.
so basically what happened is I went and saw my guy and she told me gave me the information. And by this time, it's a matter of some days.
Okay.
Um, I had done my due diligence, in terms of what breast surgeon I wanted to maybe have
Okay.
work with.
Okay.
And fortunately, my gyne also knew this person and highly recommended her.
Okay. So
And
research
so
was a big part of your process.
indeed,
Okay.
indeed.
Now, is
And
that something
so
you would recommend to others who are going through the same process as well, to really kind of research and find the person who really fits with what you're looking for?
yes, yes, indeed. And so I have a little bit more I could share on this
Yeah,
research thing.
of course.
And so basically, after I decided I was gonna go to her name is Dr. Stephanie Moline, and she's out of Spokane. I chose to do it up in the Pacific Northwest versus the Bay Area. I had to wait again. And so now I have to wait until March 8th to have an appointment to talk about this whole situation.
Okay.
And so I went home and decided that, well, maybe I should have a second opinion. And so I was recommended to someone at Stanford University. And I went to that appointment before we came back to Idaho to, talk to Dr. Moline. And basically, the whole appointment was ridiculously a nightmare. We got
Yeah.
there at 9 o'clock. The doctor didn't walk in with his entourage until a quarter to 11. We're in this small room, my husband and I, and then this entourage comes in. I'm sitting there half naked and he pinging and prodding. And it was very apparent he did not take the time to even look at my information.
Okay.
And the only thing out of his mouth was, "Oh, it looks like you've had a lot of surgeries, and it looks like, oh, you're having some breast problems." And then he went into this whole spiel of what he was gonna do, and he would not listen to what I wanted
Yeah.
whatsoever. And I
So
knew what I wanted.
at this point, the phrasing, like, looks like you have some breast problems. I mean, at this point, you knew you had breast cancer, correct?
Yeah, I knew that I had early stage breast cancer.
Got it.
In
Okay.
fact
So yeah,
yeah.
yeah. Okay. Got
In
it.
fact, what was diagnosed at that point, was called, ADH
Sure.
bordering on DCIS, and that's actually what I had, ADH, which is atypical ductal hyperplasia
Okay.
bordering on DCIS, which is a precancerous situation.
Got it. Okay.
But he wouldn't listen to me about anything I wanted, and the whole thing, I was so put off and disappointed, and so then we get to Dr. Merline a couple weeks later, and halfway through the meeting, I said, "I want you." And we walked in, she spent like 2 hours with us. She gave me
Oh
an
wow.
exam. Yeah, and she had like several monitors across her wall open, showing the stages of my mammograms for the past year, showing where the problem was, which she called, wow, this is a galaxy of cells, the problem cells. And she listened. And so you know, uh, I went with her and it was the best thing I've ever done. And then second to that, she partnered with a plastic surgery group and they've been partnering together for 10, 15 years. And so they know each other so well. And so to pick a team like that to manage this whole process was like the best thing I've ever done.
That's
And
incredible.
yeah, yeah. And I picked the plastic surgeon I picked was out of a pool. They had like 5 plastic surgeons, and
Mhm.
2 of them had specialties in doing recon, and the type of recon that I wanted to do. And My doctor Christopher Panucci and Dr. Stephanie Moline were my team, and I can't recommend them enough. They were so good.
Okay, so what you're saying is basically, if one, the research is vital, because it's just, I mean, you were so, I mean, doctors, of course, are supposed to have like a great bedside manner and really kind of understand, kind of, or try to understand what you're going through, because
Yes.
everyone is different in terms of the stage that they come to from a mental and emotional state. When a brief story, when my mom got diagnosed with pancreatic cancer. And then we went to the doctor, sitting in the waiting room. And I actually mentioned this on one of my podcasts that I talk about her, is that we're sitting in the doctor's office. The nurse comes in. The doctor basically says the doctor will be there right away. He was there. He sat down. He talked with us, and this as soon as the words like cancer came out of his mouth, there was shock. There was just quiet and silence, and then we started asking questions. And the doctor that my mom had was fantastic. He answered all of our questions. He was patient. She was dehydrated at the time. So he got her immediately on IV fluids right then and there. Because again, I mean, he understood the mental ramifications and the emotional issues that are part of that. So that research that you mentioned was vital, and it sounds like you actually did your due diligence to find someone who would really meet you where you were.
Exactly. You hear that you need to be your own advocate for your own health, which I truly believe. And I recently heard on the TV someone during this breast cancer awareness month, someone said, be the CEO of your own health.
Okay.
And that's really what it is. Be the
Yeah.
CEO and take charge. And if you are not liking what you're hearing, or if someone is not listening to you, or even if your personalities are not meshing very well. For me, this was a whole like year process of what I did. And you're seeing these people and trusting these people, and you need to feel good about who you're selecting to manage
Because it's your
this
body.
process. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Exactly. Now,
Exactly.
going back, taking a step back for a second, one of the things you mentioned that I want to kind of touch on, if you don't mind talking about, is the fact that you said you kind of were not surprised because your mom had dealt with this. Can you tell me a little bit about that?
Yeah. So about 30, probably 32 years ago, my mom, was diagnosed with full-blown DCIS,
Okay.
and so she opted to go through, what they call the T-flap,
Mhm.
surgery, which is, they rebuild your breast with the fat from your body, and in this case, they use the fat and muscle from her stomach. That's what the T-flap situation, is.
Okay.
And so when she did this, I saw, that process, what she went through, and she chose to do this process because she did not want to live the rest of her life thinking, "Oh my gosh, has it come back somewhere else? Is it, in my breast again?" And so for me, that made a whole lot of sense. And so when I started, doing my research, I was looking for a doctor that was an expert in now, which is called deep flap.
Okay.
It's a newer surgery that's very similar to to what my mom had, and they do not use the muscle. They just take fat. And so in my case, they took the fat from my stomach, and so essentially, I got a little tummy tuck out of the whole thing too.
Okay. All right.
Which was, that's, a silver lining for
Yeah.
me. And so it was, there were many other options to choose from, and
Okay.
as with my mom. Um, I also would say that my aunt, my mom's sister,
Mhm.
also had the same thing. So on this side of the fam
The same thing as your mom.
yeah, she had the
Okay.
same, cancer diagnosis.
Okay.
But for her, she didn't wanna do what we chose to do.
Okay.
She chose to do just they took out a whole bunch of tissue from her breast, and they took out her lymph nodes, and then she had a lot of rounds of radiation treatment that she did.
Okay.
And so, you know, there's lots of choices, as I mentioned before, and it's your body, it's you. You get to choose what you wanna do for you and what makes the best sense. And so, for me, I can't understand why my aunt wouldn't have done what my mom and I did,
Okay.
just because, it's easier for sure. What she did is a lot easier.
Got it.
Um, but there's choices. I wanna point out there's so many choices that you can do to solve breast cancer issues if key here too is early detection.
Yeah.
I
Early.
mean,
Yeah.
early
Early.
detection is so very important on all types of breast cancer.
Now, when your mom was diagnosed, it sounds like you were an adult when she was diagnosed.
Yeah, I was in my 30s.
How was that with her? I mean, are you close with your mom, or how was that for you, and her from just an emotional and mental aspect?
Well, it was for me, it was very scary. Um, and I was in California at that time, and she decided she didn't want me to come for the surgery because my brother, the doctor, he was there and my father was there. And she wanted me to come after so I could be at home with her and help her then. And
Okay,
so that is what the plan was for her. But for me being so far away, that was really difficult, because the surgery for these surgeries are like 8-10 hour surgeries. So you're under while they're doing, the recon or they're for her, they did the mastectomy and the recon all in one fell swoop. For
okay,
me, I had a mastectomy and then I had to wait 2 weeks and then they did my recon.
okay.
And the reason they did it that way is because they had to send like my lymph nodes and breast tissue to a lab to ensure that nothing had spread anywhere else. Because if something was, let's say it spread, it was in my lymph nodes and spread, then the plan that we had would have had to have been modified a bit because then they would have put me through radiation for X number of months, I don't know how many, and
Okay.
then you have to wait a year after you get through your radiation protocol until you can have the deep flap
The
surgery that
flat
I
right.
had because
Okay.
your tissue in your body has to recover from all the radiation stuff.
Got it.
And so I was lucky that I didn't have to change course because once I was on the course, I was like, let's
Right,
just
let's
keep
go.
moving this
Yeah,
forward.
exactly. Because I mean, it sounds like it's just so much waiting that it's a waiting game. So that has gotta be, like, taxing just from a mental and emotional standpoint, as well as, like, any support systems that you have around you, and just how was that for you? Let's talk about the waiting aspect, as well as how it might have affected your support systems that you have with you as well.
Well, the waiting was difficult, like I said before, especially when, I first knew what was happening and trying to think, how can I make this go faster? And for me, that was always inside here, my chest, but somehow I felt grounded. And, we had my husband and I planned a couple distractions
Okay.
between the time I um knew what was gonna happen, in May going forward till until then. We went and visited, it was over my birthday, Easter weekend, we went and visited a friend that, had stage 4 severe brain cancer, and so
Okay.
we went on a trip, and then we went to a few concerts in between all these different surgeries, and so we tried to make it so there was, like, the fun, interesting, exciting things to look forward to sort of subside the, like, the panic in my chest sort
Yeah.
of thing.
So, yeah, very good. Okay,
And
that's good. So, yeah.
also, I think if I can add, I feel like it was very helpful to have a solid plan in place, and that part happened, during the waiting game. And what that would mean by that is, like, um, a Northwest Plastic Surgery Group, they have this whole, like, protocol of how this all works, right? And you have to take like an online course for a couple hours, and a
Cool.
nurse basically walks you through all the different types of options. And so
Wow.
by the time you actually so you do that, and then you go see the PA and talk to that PA, and so they can hear your wishes, discuss whatever you wanna discuss, and so by the time I saw Dr. Panucci, which was my 3rd meeting, we had a long conversation of what I wanted, how it was gonna work, and so by the time that was done, and that was the 1st week of March, there was a solid understanding of how this was gonna work, and it was just sort of a mental game then to get to the next step, which was the double mastectomy, and that was done with distractions and
Okay.
other things to try to not be focusing on the time
Got
the
it.
whole
Okay.
time.
Okay.
But a solid
Sure.
plan with someone you trust is very helpful.
Did the whose idea was it to have the distractions? Was it you or your husband or both of you or what? How did that work?
I don't think neither either of us ever called it distractions,
Okay, fair enough.
but I'm saying it now, they were distractions. It was just like fun things that like yeah, I think I'm just calling them distractions now.
Yeah.
But my
Okay.
husband was very, very supportive, and if someone called it a distraction, it would have been him for
Got
sure.
it. Okay.
It
Very
would have
good.
been him for sure.
But you still wanted to, so you still, because even with this, I mean, as bad as it was, you still want to try to live your life, even more so than before, because you want to try to enjoy the time that you have, not necessarily the time you have left, but the time that you have, and because
Right.
life can be way short. We have no control over when we come in the world or when we leave the world, so we want to try to enjoy every single moment that we can.
Yes. Yes. I should say one of the distractions, my girlfriend got married, in London last October.
Okay.
And so as part of the surgical plan, because I had 4 major surgeries last year, I told Dr. Panucci that I needed to be able to get on an airplane on this date, so I could go to my friend's wedding, and do some other things, over in Europe. And so we built that in as part of the plan. So after the third surgery was done, with enough time for me to get to certain recovery. Now, mind you, I was never fully recovered, and I'm still not completely fully recovered.
Okay.
But I was in a decent enough state that I could fly, I could go to the wedding, I could, enjoy myself. So that was a big, huge, fun distraction
And
that
how was the wedding?
was wonderful. He
Okay,
had a really good. It was really wonderful. Hmm.
good. That is awesome. Now, when you say you're not fully recovered, I mean, what do you mean by that?
So, um, the doctors told me it could be up to 2 years for fully recover
Okay.
to up to 2 years that you would be fully recovered. 2
Okay.
years after my last surgery, and my last surgery was December 8th, and so,
Okay.
um, that's one point. The point, in terms of other things would be, um and it was also 2 surprises. 1, during the whole process, I lost the range of motion in my arms
Okay.
because of the what you have to do, and so for a long, long time, I couldn't get my arms higher than like this.
Okay.
And so, I'm still not 100% able to, like, do, like, normal things
No, right.
high. So that's still work in process.
Okay.
Sadly and shockingly, I gained, like, 18 pounds last year,
Okay.
which, I didn't do anything that fun to be able to say I gained 18 pounds because I, ate myself across the world.
Okay.
And I was very conscious of, yes, I have to eat during the recovery, but also I was very conscious of what I was eating because I pretty much spent most of last year either in bed
Hmm.
or sitting in a chair because I wasn't allowed to do any activities for periods of time that would raise my heart rate.
Okay.
And so I this was another like trauma thing. Oh my
Hmm.
god, I gained 18 pounds. I wanna do something fast to get rid of this. Well, it's not easy and it's not fast, and so I'm trying to do the next best thing, and a lot of that, it takes time, and it's your body is doing it on its own.
Okay.
Like, if, for example, at Christmas, my mom gave me this really cool jean jacket, and
Okay.
I couldn't get the bottom of it. The bottom was like it wouldn't shut this much,
Wouldn't close. Okay.
and
Got it. Yeah.
yeah, because of I was the swelling and stuff,
Hmm.
and finally today, I can get that jacket on and close it.
Nice.
And
Congratulations.
so another win, right?
Yeah.
Um,
Exactly.
but a lot of that is some of it is, me being conscious and trying to walk and get some exercise and do some things to help. But a lot of it is just my body is trying to get back to a point, and it takes all time to recover. Nothing I can do about that part.
Got it.
And
Okay.
as a reference point, my friend, she has metastatic stage 3 metastatic breast cancer,
Okay.
and she was diagnosed 3 years ago, and
Okay.
she keeps reminding me that, Sandra, she gained 50 pounds during this process, and it took her 2 years to get back to her normal tiny little self.
Okay.
And so when I start panicking on this weight thing, 2 things happen. I remember Katarina and her voice in my ear saying, "It's gonna take you 2 years and it's hard work." And then also my husband's voice of, "Hun, we're not quite done yet." And so when I get panicked on the subject, he reminds me, "We're not quite done yet."
Okay.
So I still have panic about it, but I think of those things and it kind of
Kind of
brings me down
ground
a little
you.
bit. Yeah,
Yeah, and
yeah.
you bring up a valid point. I mean, one of the things that I talk to my clients about is just the small wins and celebrate the small wins. Like your jacket story, that is fantastic. It just be like, let's go out and party because I can close the jacket. So it doesn't have to be these grandiose, large, massive things. Just baby steps, small wins, and take advantage of those small wins. And when I say take advantage of those small wins, celebrate the small wins, even though they may seem small to others or even small to yourself. It's still a win is a win, and it's just that simple.
So
So
I gotta say, here's a big, big win in the whole thing. I used to have much larger breasts, and a big win, I didn't have enough fat to make those large breasts again, which
okay.
I didn't want those large breasts because it hurt my back. And
Yeah.
so I always had back pain, and I was always kinda more hunching over because my breasts were so heavy. And
Mhm.
so now I'm like, I have small breasts,
Mhm.
I had a tummy tuck,
Right.
and so I had all these, like,
Awesome.
things that people,
You're winning.
do cosmetically. Yeah,
Yes.
there's some wins here, right?
Exactly. There you go. Very good. Now, with your arm issues, did you have to go through physical therapy for that?
Gosh, yes.
Yes. Okay.
And let me tell you, all physical therapy is not created equal. And I didn't know this, but there are specialty physical therapists for people that go through mastectomies and recons.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah, and it's very different. And I guess I've researched here and found a really good resource, here meaning in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Okay.
And so as soon as I could get into physical therapy, I started getting into going like twice a week. And then when I went after fully some period of recovery time, I would fly home and Bob would pick me up. And there was not a resource very close to me with the same credentials. And so I found a resource in Oakland. And so twice a week I would drive. It was an hour to an hour and a half, depending on traffic, each way to go to somebody that specialized in this type of physical therapy. And it really helped significantly, not only
Okay.
with the work they did on my arms and stuff, but also with the tools they gave me to go home and continue working. And thankfully, I can pretty much get my arms up like this.
Yeah, when
But
you're
I
giving that example, I'm like, "Okay, you're doing well." So, yes.
And I thought I was doing really well, but I recently, was doing a photo shoot in Florida, and they wanted me to stand against this brick wall and, like, put my arms back, and I'm like, "Oh my god." Panic again because it doesn't quite work very well anymore. So that triggered that I better get back on doing my exercises that can maybe help that a little bit more.
Got it, exactly, and I didn't know that there were, specialists in terms of physical therapy specialists, to handle that type of work, so that's fantastic, that's great information.
Yeah, and the thing is, I didn't know it either, and there might be, I did find some other ones, but in California, but I couldn't get into appointments. And most of the ones I looked at were not, under insurance. They
Okay.
didn't either you could submit on your own, or they were not covered under my insurance policy. And
Okay.
so for me, I just did it anyway because time was of the essence but that's kind of a big thing that maybe is overlooked, that, oh my goodness, women that need this type of thing, and then some people might not be able to afford this type, without the help of insurance. And so that's a bit, alarming.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah. Um, so at this point, how long has it been since your most recent surgery?
December 8th was my
December.
last
Okay.
surgery.
So how are you feeling? So almost in a couple months, it'll be a year.
Correct.
So how are things going now? How are you feeling now?
I'm feeling a lot better than I was, and I think it gets each day is better, and each day that I find a little win of something fits, like a piece of clothing fit, um, is better, but my body is still not my body, and maybe it never will be it's never gonna be the same anyway, again, I know that, but it's that is that part is really hard for me right now in terms of, "Oh my gosh, some of my clothes don't quite fit the same anymore." Oh my gosh, I was working on I'm a model as one of my hobbies. I'm a mature model. And so some of this body thing kind of put a dent in my head about, "Oh, can I still do this?" Or I don't know, it's like this weird cloud of doubt, I guess I'll call it.
Okay.
Because I'm not the same and I'm not feeling the same in my clothes and my skin. And I think that it's probably gonna have to take some time, more time, more time. I don't think this is just none of it is just one and done, you know what I mean? Even if in the whole process of it all last year, I did what they said. Head down, move forward. You're freaking out, but just keep carrying on. But then when you're done, you have these surprises of, oh, they didn't tell me about my arms, and oh, they didn't tell me about I was going to gain some weight and that my clothes are going to take a long time to fit. And all these things that were little surprises that are hurdles, I'll say, that I'm trying to maneuver now.
Did you join any like support groups at all? Or I know you have a support system, but did you reach out to any other type of support groups or anything like that for support to get you through some of the things that you're going through?
Um, yes, not like a support group per se, but I do have a coach that I've been working with for years, like yourself,
Okay.
and she's not only my coach, but she's also my counselor. She's my confidant. She's everything,
Okay.
and so she and I have talked about and worked through. In fact, yesterday we had a session talking about like my modeling and why I have this little cloud of doubt kind
Okay.
of thing. And so, yes, I did. And my husband, of course, who, as I said, we're not
Yeah.
quite through this yet,
Right.
so that, and then my family and friends that have all, been very supportive.
Okay.
But
Very good.
I didn't reach out to like, breast cancer support group or
Right.
anything like that.
And it's going to be different for everyone, right? I mean, basically, like you said in the very beginning, it's your body, and you have to figure out. You're the CEO. I love the line where you're the CEO of your body, so you have to
Me
figure out
too.
kind of what you want and how you want to get your needs and your wants met.
Yes, yes, and if you don't speak up, and you don't advocate for yourself, you might not be getting the best options and best treatment and best for you.
Exactly. Exactly. Very good. All right, so we'll start the wrap up. So, what advice would you give to other women who might be going through this, and not only going through it, but also Any advice you can give from a preventative measure? I know one of the things you said before is basically get tested. Don't miss your exams and things like that. But what advice would you give women today?
Um, First of all, my new one, be the CEO of your body.
Yeah, love that.
You know what, of your body, of your health, and regardless of what all the minutia and everyone's telling you, you should do this, or you should have implants, you shouldn't do deep flap, you should don't do anything, you're fine. You know, people are gonna come in and try to give you advice. People are gonna come in and say to you, "Isn't that a little severe?" Somebody I know came to me and said, "Isn't that a little severe, Sandra?" And then later she tried to, like, one up me. Oh, I had stage 3 breast cancer. Or not can sorry, not breast cancer. I had stage 3 cancer. She had a stage 3 melanoma, but I had stage 3. Ha ha, that's more than yours. Well, you know what? I wanted to say to her, you know, cancer is cancer, and you can't mess around with it. And even if you don't think you have a problem, or you need to just follow your gut. Go with your gut. No, for me, most of the time, my gut is right,
Okay, good.
and and listen to your body and stay true to yourself, you know, stay true to yourself and who you are. And don't let people, you know, people aren't walking in your shoes, so they don't know, right?
Yeah, I love that too. Like I said, you're your own person. You're your own individual. So if you have a gut feeling about something, go with that gut feeling. I mean, one of the things, going back to my mom for a second, I was on vacation, and when I came back, she was like, "Michael, I'm not feeling well. I'm not feeling right." And I'm like, "Okay, well, let's go see a doctor." And then that started the whole process. So you have to listen to your body, listen to what your body is saying, go with your gut feeling, and don't hesitate about it. I mean, it's something that you need to do to take care of in order to just survive and live and thrive. So I love that. So thank you for sharing that.
And you're welcome. And also on that, if you just ignore the signs, which I know someone that ignored the signs for a long, long time, and it ended up to be a stage 4 situation
Wow.
and not so good. And it was a situation of ignoring the signs, don't like to go to doctors, maybe a little bit of laziness, but then, oh my God, here you are, and you're going through these major, major surgeries because you didn't pay attention, or you didn't care, or whatever. And so I say care. And do you know, for me, you know, you're doing those self exams. I always sort of felt like weird about it. You know, they
Right.
say you go to the gynecologist and she says, "Oh, do you do self exams daily?" And you know, half the time I wouldn't do that, but I would say, "Oh yeah, yeah," because it was like so weird, but it's not weird. It saves lives. You find a lump, and diagnosis or early finding is key, and extends, or you know, what do I want to say? Extends your life. You know,
Yeah.
early
Yeah.
diagnosis saves lives. Saves lives is what I'm
Exactly.
trying to say.
Exactly.
Mhm.
So yes. So now, you mentioned before about you were doing modeling. What do you do at this point for work or for living? Did you want to tell people like also how to contact you, how to reach out to you if they do have questions?
Oh, sure. That's the other thing, advice. If anyone would like, you know, to reach out and ask me some private questions, or, you know, anything, I'm happy to share what I know, and I'm happy to share the goods, the bads, the uglies. You can send me an email, and that is SL2 at Jetem Productions. And I'll spell it out for you. So it's SL2 at JETAIME and the word productions. So just and I think Michael's going to include that
Mhm.
in
Yep.
when he's in this, so you'll have that as well. So please feel free to reach out to me. Um, you asked what I do. In my world, I'm a Silicon Valley marketing person. I've done every possible marketing job that you can think of. I've done a lot of events. I've done a lot of campaigns. I've done a lot of working with partners, universities and programs. I'm working on some digital marketing projects right now, which is really exciting. So yeah, I've done a lot of work in tech marketing.
All right, very good. Well, thank you very much, and thank you for the offer to have others reach out to you because, I mean, that is so important in terms of being able to have someone to that understands kind of what you're going through that you can talk to and reach out to. So I appreciate that. So thank you for sharing
No
that.
problem.
All right.